A woman who seems to have the perfect life is hiding a very strange and dangerous secret. The movie begins at a fancy dinner party where rich and powerful people gather to celebrate a man named Richie. He has just been promoted to company director. Richie comes from a very wealthy family, and his father owns one of the biggest companies in the city. Richie is married to a young woman named Hunter. As a wedding gift, his family gives the couple a beautiful luxury house. During the dinner, Richie's father proudly announces that Richie has become the youngest managing director in the company's history. Richie smiles and says he could not have done it without Hunter. The next day, Hunter spends her time at home. She watches TV, draws pictures, and plays small games. Since marrying Richie, she no longer needs to work and has everything she could ever want. But even with all this luxury, Hunter feels very lonely. Richie is always busy with work and hardly spends any time with her. One evening, Hunter tries to start a conversation during dinner. She happily talks about flowers, hoping Richie will listen. But he is too busy looking at his phone and barely pays attention to what she says. A few days later, Hunter finds out that she is pregnant. Richie is overjoyed when he hears the news. However, Hunter doesn't look happy at all. That night, Richie invites his parents over for dinner to celebrate the pregnancy. His family is excited and keeps talking about the baby. Hunter quietly sits at the table, listening to everyone else. No one asks for her opinion, and she barely gets a chance to speak. Hunter feels invisible, as if no one cares about what she has to say. Feeling hurt and trapped, she stares silently at the ice cubes floating in her drink. Without thinking, she picks up one of the cubes and starts chewing on it. The loud cracking sound makes everyone at the table uncomfortable, but Hunter keeps chewing, revealing that something inside her is slowly beginning to break. The next morning, Hunter's mother-in-law, Catherine, visits her and brings her a book about pregnancy and postpartum depression. She says the book helped her when she was expecting Richie. But instead of simply offering support, Catherine also criticizes Hunter's appearance. She tells her that Richie likes women with long hair and suggests she should grow hers out to look more attractive. While reading the book, curious, Hunter immediately starts reading it and comes across a quote: "Every day, try doing something unexpected. Push yourself to try new things." The words slowly influence her mind and begin to change her behavior drastically. From that moment on, Hunter becomes obsessed with doing things outside her usual habits for her own satisfaction. She even dares to swallow a marble whole. And strangely, she feels pleased after doing it. Upon returning home from work, Richie is surprised to find his wife in a good mood. He questions the reason behind her happiness, to which she responds that she did something unexpected that made her proud of herself. However, when Richie inquires further about what it was, Hunter lies and says that it was merely a decision to choose blue curtains. The following morning, as Richie prepares for work, he becomes upset with Hunter after discovering that she has ruined one of his silk ties. Later that day, Hunter is able to pass the small marble she had swallowed earlier, grabbing it from the sink without any signs of disgust. She retrieves the marble after it passes through her body, cleans, and carefully stores it in a glass box like a valuable object before continuing her daily activities as if nothing happened. While watching TV, Hunter receives a call from Richie's mother, who asks her to come over. Shortly after, she is summoned by her mother-in-law for a conversation, during which Catherine inquires about Hunter's previous employment before marrying Richie. Hunter admits to having worked in retail, specifically selling toiletries. Hearing this, Catherine mentions that Hunter is a very lucky woman as she got the chance to marry Richie. She also questions whether Hunter is truly happy or simply putting on a facade. The latter insists that she is indeed happy, despite her expressions suggesting otherwise. She spends her time cleaning the house, something she actually enjoys, which is why Richie never hires a housemaid. However, while dusting, Hunter finds a nail stuck inside the vacuum cleaner. And suddenly, a strange urge arises within her to swallow it. She hesitates at first due to the pain from her initial attempt, which even causes her tongue to bleed. But the urge is stronger and she forces herself to swallow the nail, enduring intense pain that injures her throat and internal organs. Strangely, instead of feeling afraid, Hunter feels a sense of satisfaction. From that moment on, she begins swallowing various foreign objects without thinking about the risks, not even considering the condition of the baby she is carrying. That night, Hunter suddenly experiences severe stomach pain and rushes to the bathroom where she notices blood in her stool, causing her to panic. As she tries to clean herself, Richie knocks on the door and asks if she is okay. Hunter responds while trembling, trying to hide what really happened. Fortunately, Richie does not notice that she is holding a nail. After things calm down, the nail she swallowed is later placed next to the marble as if it is part of her strange collection. Her new habit continues and this time Hunter tries to swallow a battery. As time passes, she becomes increasingly unable to resist the urge to consume various objects, Even the book given by Richie's mother does not escape her behavior. By now, she has swallowed and retrieved many items, and oddly enough, Hunter feels proud of what she considers her own achievement. The next day, Richie takes Hunter to check her pregnancy through an ultrasound. However, during the examination, the doctor discovers a collection of solid objects inside her stomach. Without delay, Hunter is immediately given medical treatment to slowly remove those objects, most of which are small, less than 5 centimeters in size. There's something else. What? I'm right here. I'm right here. After the procedure, Richie cannot hold back his emotions and becomes furious. He does not understand the reason behind Hunter's actions and even starts to believe that her behavior is irrational and linked to a mental disorder. Why? What the hell is wrong with you? Why would you ever do something like this? I'm trying to understand. I wanted to do it, so I just did it. I couldn't stop myself. I've never done anything like this before. I'm really sorry. After this shocking incident, Richie's father decides to bring in a psychologist to evaluate Hunter. During the appointment, the psychologist asks about Hunter's childhood, and she explains that she grew up in a normal home with caring and loving parents. When asked how she feels after swallowing those strange objects, Hunter honestly admits that she enjoys the feeling of them inside her mouth, especially if they're made of metal. Once the session is over, Hunter, Richie, and his parents head back home. Since Richie is too busy to keep an eye on Hunter all day, he hires a private nurse named Louie, who is considered one of the most experienced in the city. From that point forward, Hunter feels as though she has lost every bit of freedom, as nearly everything she does is constantly watched by Richie and his parents. Even while cooking, Hunter is never allowed to be alone, as Louie stays by her side at all times. Hunter tells Louie to relax and go watch TV instead, but Louie politely refuses and continues doing her job. Even when Hunter goes into the bathroom, Louie keeps a close watch to make sure she doesn't hide or swallow any more foreign objects. Still, without anyone noticing, Hunter secretly hides the objects beneath the toilet, where she continues feeding her disturbing obsession with swallowing strange items. The following day, Hunter attends another therapy session, where the psychologist asks why she keeps swallowing objects like batteries, needles, stones, nails, and marbles. This time, Hunter gives a different explanation, admitting that doing it makes her feel like she has control over herself. It becomes clear that her strange behavior only surfaces whenever she feels powerless or loses control over her own life. That evening, Richie throws a birthday party at their house to celebrate with friends and co-workers. But the celebration quickly turns uncomfortable after Hunter overhears Richie's colleagues discussing her bizarre condition. Embarrassed and deeply hurt, she immediately confronts Richie, accusing him of sharing her private struggles with everyone. Richie, however, shows little concern for her feelings and doesn't even bother to apologize. Sometime later, Hunter returns for another therapy session, where the psychologist once again asks about her family history. This time, however, Hunter first requests that everything she says remain completely confidential. After the psychologist assures her that nothing will be shared with Richie, Hunter finally decides to tell the truth. She reveals that the man who raised her is not actually her biological father. She explains that her mother became pregnant with her after suffering a traumatic sexual assault by a man named William. Thankfully, William was later caught by the police and sentenced to prison. Hunter even pulls out a photograph of him, one she has carried with her for years. When the psychologist asks why her mother chose to continue the pregnancy, Hunter explains that her mother's strong religious beliefs influenced that decision. Because of this, Hunter realizes that she was born from a painful and unwanted circumstance. Even so, she explains that the man who raised her has always loved her like his own daughter, and both he and her mother have always cared deeply for her. After hearing her story, the psychologist can't help but feel sympathy for everything Hunter has been through. After finally sharing the truth about her past, Hunter feels a huge weight lifted off her shoulders and slowly returns to her normal routine. Around that time, Richie is off work and keeps a close eye on her throughout the day. While working in the garden, Hunter briefly feels the urge to eat the soil in her hand, but this time, she fights the temptation and manages to stop herself, believing she is finally taking back control, especially after putting her trust in the psychologist. However, just as she heads inside to wash her hands, Hunter accidentally overhears Richie speaking on the phone with the psychologist. As she quietly listens, she is horrified to realize that every secret she shared has been revealed to him. The betrayal shatters her completely, as the trust she placed in the psychologist has been broken. After Richie leaves for the gym, Hunter is overwhelmed by fear and anxiety. The crushing sense of betrayal causes her to lose control, and she ends up hiding beneath the bed. Louie eventually finds her there, crawls underneath to comfort her, and the two quietly fall asleep until evening. When Hunter wakes up, the urge to swallow something returns stronger than ever. She rushes into the kitchen, searches through a drawer, and impulsively grabs a screwdriver before trying to swallow it. Louie, who has just woken up, can only watch in horror as Hunter begins choking and writhing in pain. Once again, Richie and his parents rush Hunter to the hospital, but this turns out to be her most dangerous incident so far. Believing they have no other choice, Richie and his parents decide to admit her to a psychiatric facility for 7 months to protect the unborn baby. They even give her an ultimatum: if she refuses the treatment, Richie will file for divorce. Feeling trapped and burdened by everything they have done for her, Hunter reluctantly signs the admission papers. Later that day, Hunter gets ready to be transferred to a psychiatric hospital. Before leaving, she asks to return to the bedroom to get her phone, with Louis accompanying her the entire time. After watching Hunter suffer for so long, Louis has secretly begun to sympathize with her, realizing that she has almost no control over her own life. Although he is supposed to be doing his job, he finally decides to help her escape. Louis quietly opens the bathroom window, turns on the faucet, and locks the bathroom door from the inside, making it appear as though Hunter slipped away without him noticing. Seizing the opportunity, Hunter climbs out and runs as fast as she can until she reaches the roadside. Back at the house, Richie and his family panic as soon as they realize she has disappeared. Fortunately, a passing driver offers Hunter a ride, and she eventually checks into a small motel to hide from Richie. Before heading into her motel room, Hunter once again gives into her strange habit by picking up a handful of soy and slipping it into her pocket. Later that night, she purposely calls Richie, who is still desperately trying to find her. Hunter tells him that she still loves him, but she has chosen to leave because she can no longer live under his constant control. Instead of listening to how she feels, Richie demands that she return home immediately. When Hunter refuses, his true personality finally comes to the surface. He angrily lashes out, revealing that the only thing he truly cares about is the unborn baby, not Hunter herself.
Death. After the call ends, Hunter crushes her cell phone and spends the rest of the night alone, watching TV and eating soil. The following day, Hunter checks out of her motel room and proceeds to call her mother to ask if she can stay with her. Unfortunately, the latter declines, stating that her other daughter is currently residing with her. Finding herself without a place to go, Hunter decides to hitchhike to the home of her biological father, William Irwin. Upon reaching his house, she discovers that William is celebrating his birthday with his family and friends. Hunter goes close to him, but William assumes that she is the parent of one of their daughter's friends. Hunter clarifies that she is not a parent and mentions her mother's name. Hearing this, William immediately recognizes her as his estranged daughter. After getting a chance to talk alone, Hunter proceeds to question why he took advantage of her mother, and William admits that he felt powerful when he committed such acts. However, after serving several years in jail, he realizes his mistakes and regrets them. The conversation becomes emotional as William expresses his shame and guilt for his past actions. Hunter inquires if he feels shame towards her and whether she is like him. William immediately refutes these claims, assuring Hunter that she is not akin to him and bears no responsibility for the past events. As Hunter's emotions overwhelm her, William offers consolation and reminds her that she is blameless and should not carry the burden of guilt. After finding solace in her emotional conversation with William, Hunter feels ready to move forward with her life. She makes the difficult decision to undergo an abortion and visits a clinic where she is prescribed medication for the procedure. Hunter takes the pills while eating lunch in a food court, and despite the bustling surroundings, she experiences the physical effects of the abortion in a public restroom, alone with her thoughts. Once the procedure is complete, Hunter feels a sense of liberation and relief wash over her. She recognizes that this decision was not an easy one, but it was the right one for her at this moment in her life. With newfound freedom and a clear head, Hunter sets out to embark on a fresh start, leaving the pain and trauma of her past behind. She will now head to the Toys R Us